Rikers Island out 12:59 in the morning. Brought to you by Chazzy. Looking like he's ready for a vacation like Austin Matthews.
Ready to go to the Sunshine State.
Oh man. Well, so boys, I think
These are for you guys just to condolences yourself.
so right off the hop, I'm gonna say, fans out Alberta way are very happy.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers getting a big win. Stuart Skinner with back-to-back shutouts.
More happening.
I do think Kapanen with the big game-winning goal, as Dan said, he would be a big part of this playoff run.
I did.
However, I do think when they were comparing, I don't know if you guys were watching the game, when the broadcaster was comparing him to Cujo, I wanted to throw up a little bit because not quite comparable netminders, but I'm not, Bob Drunko, I guess. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
I'll let him have his moment.
But good for the Edmonton Oilers. Toronto Maple Leafs, on the other hand, that was... Oh, yeah, around the table, Jacob Moore, self-proclaimed sports analyst, Lane Dash and Dashco, Jazzy the CEO, Dan Moore for your money.
Hello!
But,
yo! I go, woo! That's the noise I make. Woo!
I feel that was the worst Leaf game I have watched ever in the playoffs.
I agree.
I would say half the lineup didn't show up.
I would say more than half didn't show up.
I don't feel the bottom six was that bad. Hello, Streakers Gaming. Thank you for joining us to Streakers Island podcast
at approximately 1 a.m. in the morning.
It's not night, bro.
It's not technically night anymore. It's 1:01 a.m.
Well, it is out in Edmonton.
Well, then to our Alberta viewers,
they'll be celebrating tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, I don't think there is. I think alcohol sales have just went up 848% tonight.
I'm sure people are taking a long weekend early over in Alberta.
But
no, in Alberta, not in Calgary.
I do want, let's get into that a little bit. I mean, it looks like Edmonton will be facing either Dallas or Winnipeg, and I'm gonna say this now. I think they'll be facing Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas will have home ice, I believe, for that one. And if everything goes the way it's looking right now, every single home ice advantage team in the second round will be eliminated.
Yeah.
Toronto's down. Washington's down. Vegas is out. And
Dallas.
Winnipeg could be eliminated by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But I want to ask you guys here, and who's at fault for this game in Toronto? Is this bad coaching? Is this just the leadership issues? I'm sure Dan's going to blame the $3 million goalie. Like, what's the issue here?
Well, it's not all the $3 million goalie's fault, but if you want an NHL starting job, you have to make a save. And I get a couple of goals here that were tough to stop, but whoa. That fourth goal, I could have stopped myself. Like, it was a slap stop on some nobody defenseman. It was maybe going 80 miles an hour, and it went through him like Swiss cheese. I'm like, come on, bro. I got like 130K. Like,
I have a response.
Absolutely pathetic with a capital P.
I have a response to Dan's comments about Joseph Woll. We ready? We could go and blame Johnny T. Mitch Marner looks so bad, invisible to you and me. Austin Matthews can't score if he needed to be on the ice now. So, Danny, who will you go out and blame? Let's see. After all, let's go blame Joseph Woll.
I wasn't the only one. Berube pulled him too.
Berube pulled him because honestly, I think he just wants him rested for Game 6.
You have to, yeah. You have to.
You can't play Wall in Game 6.
You're either going Wall, or if Stolarz is healthy, you're going. You are not playing Matt Murray.
Wasn't Layton saying about not only 72 hours ago we could see Matt Murray in this series, and look what happened tonight.
It was Dan, yeah.
I thought it was crazy.
I called it.
I think you have to go Joseph Woll in Game 6 and hope he can do what he did in Game 4.
And hopefully this will be his last game as a Maple Leaf after that.
Now, if this is the last game of the season at the ACC, aka Scotiabank Arena, I still call it the ACC, is this the last home game we saw the core for?
Yes.
And
Game 6, yeah.
And I'm going to say right away, I thought Tavares was invisible. I thought Marner was invisible. I thought Matthews was invisible. Max Domi was very noticeable when he kept taking stupid penalties. I thought David Kempf had a nice game in the lineup. Nick Robertson got the only goal.
I did get 1 point. Domi got a point, so I did get a point off the Streakers flops.
Yeah,
Plan the parade.
With a minute to go.
Plan the parade.
Congrats, Morpor. That was a big win.
Look, I gotta say right now, I think there's a very good chance you saw the last home games for Tavares, Marner, Domi, and Robertson.
So
Domi still has 3 years of his contract.
I don't care. I do not care. And I've already seen people message me saying there's no one available in free agency. I don't care. You need to do it. Make moves and restock the farm. Do something.
I don't get why you're criticizing me for blaming a $3 million goalie, but yeah, you're criticizing everything on a fourth line, $3.5 million centerman.
Number one, he was brought in to be a top 6 forward. That's what they brought him in, to be on the top line originally with Matthews and Bertuzzi.
Well, he's got to be the best value in the league. A top 6 forward, $3 million.
Okay, Matthew Nice gets paid $900,000, and he's
okay. That's going to happen next year.
I look at Max Pacioretty, $875, second line. Look at Evander Kane, around the same price as Max Domi. I'd much rather have Evander Kane.
He's probably the most controversial player in the league. That's why you got him cheap.
I don't care. Is he performing in the playoffs? Yeah, all Max Domi is doing is taking stupid penalties and not back checking. And missing empty nets. He's got 3 points, Dan. That's. And I
think he's got 5, bud.
I put more blame on Tavares, Marner, and Matthews, but you need more from Max Domi. You need more from Bobby McMahon. You need more.
Now, baby, a $1.3 million winger.
Yes, because Bobby McMahon had 20 goals in the regular season. He has 1 assist in the playoffs. And again,
much ice time.
He's getting plenty of ice time. And again, I am looking at it. You can't just blame one player or 2 or 3. I put the biggest blame on those 3. And you guys might be saying, well, why am I putting William Nylander in that conversation? When that game was in reach, Nylander was literally doing things by himself.
Oh, he was 100%.
Literally looking like Connor McDavid, stick handling by 4 defenders to get a breakaway. Nylander is, I really, truly believe Nylander is not the problem. He's part of the solution.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The problem is you're stuck with Austin Matthews. You're stuck with a guy that when it comes to playoffs just can't perform. He hasn't scored a second-round goal in his career. That's a problem. You're not stuck with Marner and Tavares. And I really thought when Marner played better in the Four Nations, we were going to see a better Marner in the playoffs. And the sad thing is, this is a better Marner in the playoffs. He's at his best playoffs statistically of his entire career. He has. Look at the numbers. It's the best playoffs he's had statistically.
Yeah, well, I have something to say.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, or the screen.
You get the hockey stick.
I have something that I want to say, and I know he's not going to listen to Dashing Lane Dashko at 1:08 at night or in mid-morning, but I have a message to Mitch Marner. I want everyone to ask if they can read what this says. What does this say?
Milk. Toronto Maple Leafs.
What does that say?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right. What does this say? Well, it's backwards, but
Marner.
this guy is the biggest, most pathetic player in the NHL. How
Yeah.
dare you? Do you talk about making $13 million when this is the thing? See, when you were a little kid, you put this on. You went to school, and you don't give two rats ass about this. You
Exactly.
only care about this. Your name.
Exactly.
You don't care about this. The fans care. I care. But the last thing that you care about is the crest on this jersey. The same goes with Austin Matthews. And honestly, at this point, the same goes to John Tavares. The three of you are absolutely pathetic. I don't care about what if, when happened, Stolar's this, well that. No, it's been 8 flipping years of you three failing year after year after year after year after year. I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. All of you, get off. If you're not going to play for this, then go away. Go play in Chicago. Go play in Minnesota. Go play with the golf clubs. Go play where the beaches are nice, where you can sit on the beach and play your golf. But get out of my city. Get out of here.
Wow.
I want players that will play for this. I want somebody who's going to put their heart and soul on the line and play for this. I'm
Yes.
sick and tired of it. I'm done with it. I don't want to see another game. I don't want to see a game 7. This series was over because 3 games, because all of you, every single one of these players are so easily satisfied that after one little loss, you guys have folded like a cheap tent in the last 120 minutes on the ice. And not only that, all the fans that have sat beside you, that bleed blue, that come support you day in, night in, year out, you spat in their face. You
Yeah.
spat in every single person's face that's believed in you, that's put you up, that has supported you. Tonight was an absolute disgrace. And if you won't play for this, get the hell out and read
Wow.
between the lines.
You know what, Lane? I can't say I disagree with you.
Wow.
I want to bring this up here too, and I need to find the clip at some point later when it's not 1 whatever a.m. in the morning.
Here's $1 million question, though.
I guess I can't finish my thought. Go ahead, Dan.
$1 million question. I agree with you, Lane, 100%. I really do. But if some magical thing happens, Miracle on Ice 2025.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Even if they win in Florida and win in Game 7,
I don't want it.
and
I don't
they
wanna
go
see-
face Washington, Carolina
I'm
in
done.
the finals.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see these players play another game. I will not be watching on Friday. I'll do a post game. I'm not supporting this. I am not watching this ho hum. Oh, we can't beat them in the playoffs because it's too hard for us, and the fans are too critical. You get paid to play hockey. Play the damn game. I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of this. How does it one loss? Like, I know when I sat here, I said Game 3. You lost Game 3, and it was like,
You did say
well,
that. Yeah.
well, it's over. How was it over? You
You
guys
did
had to
say
win
that,
one-
yeah.
All you had to do was win one of these next 2 games, and you guys didn't even play the game. You just sat there and went like this. This is literally how they play. It's 3-0. It's 7-0. Like,
Do what the
Come
thing
on.
is, too. If you go back and look at Game 3, okay? If they lost Game 3 in overtime by 1 goal.
I know, Dan,
How
but
does
it's the
the-
You can't lose in overtime by more than 1 goal. I would just like to remind the viewers that.
Dan, you're missing the point, though.
But what I'm saying, though, is as much as we hate these 3, okay? If Joseph Wall made one more save, because at least 2 of those 5 goals were pathetic. If he made one of those saves, it would have won Game 3, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
How do you know? No, I'm going to jump on the Lane train here. How do you know that if we win Game 3, what did Florida do to the Boston Bruins?
Yep.
They won Game 4. They won Game 5. They won Game 6. And as we were moving me out of my terrible apartment, they won Game 7. So
Oh, that's like, yeah.
honestly, Okay, am I still watching the game Friday night? Yes. If they win Friday and Sunday, am I going to be happier than a pig in poop after they just found out they're not being turned into bacon? Absolutely. However, right now, I am borderline as mad as Lane. I don't know if I'm as mad as Lane, but I'm borderline. And I'm going to read you some stats, the reason why I'm borderline.
Pathetic.
John Tavares is third in the team in penalty minutes. Bobby McMahon is second, okay? 16 penalty minutes for Bobby McMahon, 10 penalty minutes for John Tavares. Max Domi is 33 without a fight. What the hell are you doing? He is literally getting more penalty minutes than minutes. It is insane.
Well, so does that.
Over 11 games. Like that's unheard of unless you're fighting. Oh, but then we're going to bring in the big free agent, Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo's going to save the team. Now, we don't want Luke Shen. We don't want him. We're not going to make a move to bring in the human eraser. Brandon Carlo is a -3 with no points.
They tried getting Luke Shen.
They didn't try hard enough. For Pete's sakes, Pittsburgh traded Michael Bunting, who was terrible. Like, so we could have, you know what? I would have been much happier to trade Max Domi for Luke Shen. Very equal players. Put Scott Laughton on the third line like you damn well got him to do anyways. Like, why did we trade a first-round draft pick and a prospect for a fourth-line center? And that's nothing against Scott Laughton. I think for the minutes he's getting and the line mates he's playing with, he is playing adequately. And then how about this? We don't use Nick Robertson much in the playoffs. 3 games, 2 points, +1. 3 games, 2 points, +1. Who was out there actually giving 2 hoots towards the end of the game? It wasn't Matthews.
Nick Robinson wanted to be traded all bloody year.
Because the team wouldn't use them. Then they promised him, oh, don't worry, bud. We're going to play you. We're going to play you. No, we're just going to bring you in and out of the lineup all night. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Just like the burgers that are overrated in America. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And now, again, if the Leafs win Game 6 and they win Game 7, maybe we're singing a different tune. The only thing I am saying is here.
AM radio at that point.
The only thing I am saying is here. If they end up, and I don't care if they take it to Game 7, 6 overtimes, you lose 1-0, or you lose 7-6, whatever. Matthews scores 6 goals. I don't care. You have to win this series. Yes. You had control being up 2-0. Yes, Stolar's getting injured, put a huge dent in the lineup. But at the same time, with all the offense you have scored 2 goals since they tied it up in Game 4. 2 goals. And it's not even like you're going, oh, well, they're facing Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky hasn't even been that busy.
Nope.
Like, it's not like they're, okay, yeah, he did. I remember at one point the Leafs had 4 shots and Nylander had 2 of them. Yeah, mind you, both Nylander chances were like, one was a breakaway, one was a 2-on-1. Like, but I need more out of Matthews, Marner, and Tavares. I look at their salaries, I look at their stature, I look at what they were brought here to do. And if you remember, Dan, I said right from the beginning when they brought in John Tavares, I said the only way this works is if they still keep Nazem Kadri. You're like, oh, they'll keep Kadri. They'll keep Kadri. They'll keep Kadri.
I figured they would. Kadri's a very unique
They decided to trade Nazem Kadri for Tyson Barrie. And Chazzy might be thinking, J-Mo, why are you talking about a trade that happened 6 years ago? Because if you had Nazem Kadri still, Kadri would be the third line. Kadri would be the second line center. Tavares would be the third line center / power play specialist. Max Domi can be in the press box, and Scott Laughton can be on your fourth line.
But didn't you chase Nazem out of the city, like you're doing Marner right now, and maybe JT?
Okay, the difference is Nazem Kadri, as much as the suspensions were frustrating, they weren't from lack of effort. You never saw Nazem Kadri quit on a game or quit on a series.
Hundo P.
You are seeing Marner
like and
Tavares quit.
Yep.
Right? And Tavares, truthfully, he's just too old. He can't skate anymore. And he isn't physical enough to make up for it. Like Max Pacioretty is a terrible skater, but he will literally murder you when you're in the corner. So he makes up for it. You know what? Mad Mama on the Streakers app put it best when she said this team just has 0 leadership.
It does.
Matthews is a terrible captain. Tavares was a terrible captain. Marner is a terrible assistant captain. People will blame Morgan Riley. He's one of the few guys that actually shows up for this team.
I would have given
He's
Morgan
an
Riley the
even-
captaincy
he's an
years
even
ago.
player with 7 points over the 11 games. Morgan Riley has as many points as John Tavares. He's a defenseman. John Tavares is centering the second line, playing with William Nylander, who is one of the best players in the playoffs. Like, and that's not even a biased opinion. That's just statistically factual.
Yeah.
He is towards the top in every offensive stat. Like, it's the top line for Toronto was abysmal, and everyone goes on about Craig Berube being such a great coach. Well, then why were we just doing the same thing over and over and over?
Because they don't
That
care.
top line was getting destroyed.
They
All
don't
game.
care.
Never mind all game. Ever since game 4, that top line, besides Matthew Knies getting his chances, has been getting completely destroyed. So change it.
Did you like Patches coming to the first line there in the third?
I would have liked it for more than 2 shifts. And it was in the second period, 2
Or is the
shifts,
second?
and then they just went, that didn't work.
Do you think it's just nothing fixes it? Like, I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, and I was saying this to myself, I was thinking about this to myself earlier. I think the excuses are like, you're not in a point anymore where you can sit there and say, well, maybe this. Well, maybe if they did this. No, that's when your first 3 or 4 years, when you're just getting in the league
Not
and you're
9.
not 9. No, when you're 9 years, there's no more. Well, if Stolarz didn't get hurt, they probably would have won game. I don't care about probably, what if, maybe if, could have been, should have been, would have been. The fact is, when these guys lose one time, and we almost saw it, and everyone likes to forget, this almost happened in Ottawa.
It
This
did,
team,
yeah.
for some reason, when they but when they lost game four, what happened in game 5? Nothing.
Shutout.
Game 6, they did win it, but they didn't win it by a landslide. They won because Patches scored with a minute left. Otherwise, that's going overtime. That could come back to Toronto. I'm just saying.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like at every point with these 3 guys, Tavares, Marner, and Matthews, when they lose, there's some brain malfunction that goes off in their head, and they don't know how to get it back. It's just like, well, we lost. It's over. And I feel bad because, we had people here from the island, and I want to bring up Francesco. He's not here to give me some pizza. I would really like to have some. But I hope he never gives Mitch Marner a piece of pizza, because that guy sat here and defended the Leafs on one of our live streams to me and saying, I'll make you believe. I can never believe in these guys. Never, ever, ever. Because every time you try to believe this little bit, they just go, nope, never mind. Be negative, be a horrible fan, because we don't care about you, and we don't care about the people paying $400 and $30 beers. We don't care about them either.
Do you know what I think
Now,
the
I do
problem
wanna
with those
quickly-
3 is? I think they're hanging up too much at Justin Bieber. And you
No.
look at the Raptors when the Raptors won, okay?
They
had
hung out with
Drake.
Drake, who's equally an idiot. Next point.
Drake is probably one of the most badass
Equally
Canadians.
an idiot.
He's a
Equally
badass
an
Canadian
idiot.
in history.
Equally
Justin
an
Bieber's a
idiot.
spoiled little black. And what
So
are these
is
3
Drake.
players are? Spoiled little black.
Dan,
Yeah,
I
no
don't know
teenage
why we're
girls
getting
like
in. I don't
Justin
know why
Bieber.
we're bringing pop culture into this. But Drake
Yeah,
got pissed so badly, instead of admitting that he lost, he's like, I'm going to sue them. Stop it. You can't make money off making fun of little Drake. Oh, this is my hotline bling. This is what happens when we record, when we go live at 1:22 in the morning on the island. But, Lane, I do want to counter on your point.
Yes, what?
How you said how the Leafs, they almost fell in game 4. Then they played terrible in game 5. Then in game 6, they came back and played very, very well. Yes, it was a tight game because Omar almost stole it, but they played very
Omar?
well. Omar, the Ottawa Senators netminder, the guy with the big pads, the helmet, he has a glove and a blocker.
Oh, I was
holds a
thinking
stick,
of something like
which apparently, according to the NHL, a stick is not part of the goaltender, but we've ranted enough about that. And I'm going to say this. If the Leafs can come back and win game 6 in Florida, which I am giving this a huge if. Lane, I know you're shaking your head no.
No. Nah,
However, I am pulling the Jim Carrey and saying there's still a chance. If
I
you
said
win-
it would go in
if
7.
you win-
I don't know how you can believe
If-
that.
I believe it because I'm an idiot. So if they can do it, and look, I'm going to pull it off here. I could see Florida being extremely overconfident from this game. If you're overconfident, Toronto comes into Florida and wins game 6. Let me say another point. A week ago, if I told you Calvin Pickard was going to get injured, Stuart Skinner was going to get lit up in his first start and then get back-to-back shutouts, would you call me an idiot?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably, but
Exactly. Dabbing on it. Bam, 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 bam. Stuart Skinner's not as good as Cujo. I'm throwing that out there again. But if Berube can be the best coach in the world, as everyone in Leafland thinks he is, and find a way to get this team re-energized, I don't know if it's putting the lines in the blender again. I don't know if it's maybe going back to the lines that it's not Revo. I don't know if it's
where do you go from here? You just made a couple minor tweaks and it obviously backfired.
To be
What
honest,
do you
I
do
am
with these
going
things?
back to game 1, round 1 lineup. If the lineup that got you into the season was the lineup that got you through, I'm going back to that lineup.
Can
We
you
are
remind us
benching
what that
Patch
lineup
already.
was?
So that lineup was Patches down to the third, McMahon. No, Patch. Yeah,
Patsy
Patches
wasn't
down to
in the
third.
lineup.
No, yes, well, okay, but it was then. I'd have to look up the lines exactly, but
You're on crack.
I am not on crack. So maybe not Patches off the lineup, but I'm putting Patches down to the third, McMahon of Nylander so they can skate, make the third line a pure checking line, Max Domi to wing because clearly he can't play center. I am debating on benching Max Domi in this next game.
yeah,
And you might say he's a character guy, but both penalties were crippling for the Leafs tonight. There is no other way to describe them.
Matthews
And
was
they are
bad too.
penalties. You can't take 33 minor minutes and penalties in 11 games.
How does he have 33 penalty minutes without a fight?
Because he's
Fights the 5
Well, he's
minutes.
He's an
disciplined.
idiot. There is no other way to put it. He is
No, it's
averaging.
mathematically impossible. If he had
It's-
no fight, the penalties would end in an even number, not odd.
No, it wouldn't. It would end on if. So you're telling me if Florida scores on the power play, he still sits in the box for 2 minutes?
It
No,
still
it
counts as a 2-minute penalty.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
It does. But
You can roll your eyes all you want. It does not count as a 2-minute penalty on the NHL stat sheet.
I don't believe that.
You don't have to believe me. I don't believe you that you blame your $3 million backup goaltender for why you scored.
Yeah, but that's just a theory. You're spitting out. You try to spit out facts. You don't have.
I
a
am
fact.
spitting up. Tell me who Max Domi fought in these playoffs.
I don't know. I think he maybe
No,
got a
tell me.
5-minute.
You are so much smarter than me, as you like to pretend. So who did Max Domi fight?
No, I don't think it's a fight. I think he got a 5-minute penalty somewhere
For what?
for hitting from behind or something.
Nope,
Well,
that was
wasn't
at
like
the end of
that
the game,
Barkov
and it was a
hit or something
$5,000 fine. There, you cannot get a penalty when the game is over.
True.
Did he get 2 minutes for that hit or no? Did he?
No,
get
because the game was over.
Hmm.
That's why he got the fine, and now he can't afford nachos. That's it. Max Domi, and I blame Tavares and Marner 1,000 times more
yeah.
than Max Domi.
So do you think this extra day killed your guys' momentum, or like
No.
because you came in?
No,
flat?
I think just they came in half asleep. And then I thought Kevin Biesca brought in a really good point. They were talking about it on the intermissions. The Leafs didn't have a great first period. They were only down 1-0. And they panicked. And they opened up the offense, had the defense pinching too much. And then they got shredded for 4. You play that type style when you go into the second period, or in the third period, only down maybe 1-0 or 2-0. That's still a game. I also bring into the start of the third. Matthew Knies makes a great play defensively, goes on a breakaway. Bobrovsky makes a big save, but then the Leafs get a power play. The first unit does absolutely nothing as they've been doing this series. Do you know what the second unit does? Max Domi takes a holding penalty on the power play. You're actually getting momentum back in that third period when Matthew Knies blocks a shot, chips it around a defender, and gets a breakaway. You started, and I said that if the Leafs could have scored in that first 5 minutes, there was a game to be had. And again, is it Max Domi's fault when he is a bottom 6 forward making just over $3 million? No, it is not the main reason. The main reason is your top guys. But both penalties Max Domi took were just completely idiotic.
It
was
was Stolar was in the net. Would they feel more confident pinching?
Dan, they pinched all night. That doesn't make a difference. That's irrelevant. And only one goal Woll let in he should have had.
I just want to remind you guys there was controversy all the way to the end on who your starter was. So
Well, not for me. I said it was
have
Anthony.
confidence in Wall going in into the playoffs.
I
think
did
that
have
was-
confidence in Wall going into the playoffs, although I
I
think
did.
Stolarz was the better goalie. And the problem is with Joseph Wall, and we've seen it all season, is it game 4 Joseph Wall, or was it tonight's Joseph Wall? Or was it game 3's Joseph Wall, where you don't know if he's going to make a huge save or let in a weak goal? Wall tonight made the saves he was supposed to and nothing more. And he let in one that he should have had. Where Bobrovsky made a couple saves that he wasn't supposed to.
Like
You
me and
need your
like-
goalie to make a couple saves they weren't supposed to. You also need your forwards to put the puck in the net.
Mhm.
There's no other way to put it. And you go to the Edmonton Oilers, who, by the way, are getting it done with McDavid and Draisaitl doing next to nothing.
Yeah,
They had another pointless night tonight. And everyone's going to say, oh, they've had all these multi-point games. All their points were against LA. They have not
Right.
done much against Vegas. And they were able to beat Vegas in 5 because
That's
of
a shocker.
Now, imagine Edmonton next series if they can get McDavid and Draisaitl rolling, and Connor Brown continues to put up on pace for what would have been a 20-goal season if this was a full year, and if Evander Kane can continue to be a dominant top 6 forward.
How much of an impact is he coming into the playoffs?
Evander Kane has
Oh,
been huge.
huge.
It's been huge,
Yeah.
and
He was a difference maker.
he is a playoff type player. He's big. He's physical.
Yeah.
So is Corey Perry.
And
And
he
he
drove
can
his
score.
Rolls Royce to the game.
And you know what? I feel he's a big part of the leadership group in Edmonton, where I think Toronto, the depth guys are lacking experience, and the top 4 and the top 6 are lacking leadership. You can tell no one is really leading that team.
No.
Like, they won't do it, but you should strip Austin Matthews of the captain if they don't.
Oh,
make it
100%.
past this round.
Oh,
They
100%.
They will not
won't.
do it. They will no way. They will not do it because you're going to have so many people angry about the jerseys. All MLSC cares about is making money. That's all they care about with the Leafs. They're the cash cow.
Yep.
The Argos are the tax write-off, and the Leafs and Raptors are the cash cows. Which I literally texted one of my buddies while we were watching the game, "Go Argos," because at least they're a Toronto team that can consistently win.
I got a question for everybody.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Lee.
So when they do lose on Friday, which newsflash they will, I got a question. Now I want everyone's opinion, so I want to go around the room here because I got a good question for everybody, even Chazzy, because I think he has a good opinion. Would signing Mitch Marner just be a spit in the face? Like would let's say they lose Game 6, would re-signing Mitch Marner be a spit in the face to Leaf fans? Because I think it would be. At this point, if they don't get past this round, the way they lost this series, I don't see, unless you just, like you said, unless you're being selfish, just wanting to print money because he's from Toronto and you can make jersey sales, I don't think he deserves to come back next year.
You know what? I want Craig to go first on this one.
Well, it's a great question because I was going to ask you guys. Looking at, I don't know, I told you guys tonight, it's the championship pedigree. Florida was not going to take any dumb penalties. You had Tkachuk bait Domi into that penalty, and the veteran movement of moving his hand. Where do you go from here? The endless, it was conference finals or bust. Now you're looking in the mirror of being bust on the verge. I'm not going to count them out because I do. They have a shot in Game 7. If you can get through Game 6, yes, it's an even skill because momentum, right? Florida's got the momentum. If you can tip the scales back, you got a shot in Game 7 going against the Stanley Cup champions. So I was looking at it tonight as like, okay, if you're stuck with your captaincy, Nylander is obviously your game changer and the guy that can obviously score under any conditions. Do you drop the 2? Unfortunately, but who do you bring in to sort of like fill that void of that leadership you guys are talking about that you're missing? If you don't believe that these guys are going to be able to get it done, because JT's obviously going to want even par. You guys are not going to accept that if he gets a bonus not making conference finals. You got to sign Knives, which is coming off a rookie contract. There's no way you're going to be able to keep Marner. Marner is going to become a golden knight and go off into the sunshine and win a Stanley Cup. So I don't know what else to say other than you might have to take – it might hurt that you might be losing 2 of these pieces. But hearing what you guys are talking about and seeing this team tonight, You're nowhere near Stanley Cup championship pedigree against the defending one.
So hypothetically, you let Marner and Tavares walk and bring in Sam Bennett, Nikolai Ehlers, and Brock Nelson.
It's not a bad move.
Well, Bennett's a
And
free
sign
agent.
Matthew Nice. They're all free agents. That's what everyone keeps telling me. Oh, this free agent class is weak, and I'm like, no. You got Sam Bennett, Ehlers, Gorgakov for defense, Provorov defense, Brock Nelson, Matt Duchene, Brock Besser, Neil Pionk, Ryan DiNardo, Patrick Kane, the Raptors, Brad Marchand, Aaron Ekblad. Maybe you bring in Jake Allen as a stable backup and you trade Joseph Woll. And I'm not saying it's Woll's fault, but he hasn't been the solution. That's just going off. And sure, Marner and Tavares are rated 1 and 3 on the Athletics top 15 pending free agents. But if I'm taking away Marner's and Tavares' contract, even if I'm signing Nyes, we'll say to $7 million, because I think being a restricted free agent, you can probably get him in at 7. You sign him at 7. Marner and Tavares are about combined, I'm just going to say roughly about $21 million. So that leaves you $14 million left. $14 million, I can probably get Bennett and Nelson.
Yeah.
And the cap's going up by $5 million. So I can get Bennett, Nelson, and potentially Matt Duchene, potentially Brock Nelson. All of a sudden now, remember, you got Lawton and Carlo with term.
Right.
So you still have them at a cheap salary cap because you got the cap eaten. Brad Treliving was smart at the deadline by making moves that would help him now, but could also help him if he needs to make a retool for next season. So no, everyone's going on the sky is falling. You have to re-sign Marner and Tavares because there's no one available. I look at even a guy like Patrick Kane. Currently, right now, he's getting 6.5. He'll get less than that in the open market. Maybe say to him, hey, do you want a chance to make the playoffs unlike you do in Detroit? Right? And not that I'm a big Patrick Kane fan on a personal level, but he is that veteran.
He can score.
Winning pedigree who can score and can score when it matters. I hate the bugger, but you could bring it. You could say to Brad Marchand, hey, how would you like to do the biggest FU to Montreal and come try to win a cup in Toronto? Hey, as a Habs fan, you know the Habs hate Brad Marchand as much as the Leafs do. So all I'm getting at is when everyone says there's no one good available, I just rhymed off a lot of good players.
So
maybe you move on from some of your defense and bring in a guy like Aaron Ekblad, who's going to be a free agent.
He has a point in every game since back from suspension?
Oh, Aaron Ekblad has been a difference.
5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Like I said, you go get a guy like Jake Allen, who is a veteran goaltender. I think the Leafs need a good veteran goaltender more than 2 young studs. I think Joseph Woll could go somewhere else and be very good. I think he could go to your Calgary or something and back up Dustin Wolf, or go to Vegas. Because I think Vegas, I know Adin Hill had a really good game tonight, but Adin Hill had a bad series. And Vegas is going to be looking for goaltending. As Dan pointed out off camera, it'd be hilarious if Woll and Samsonov were a tandem again in the NHL. Come on, that'd be hysterical. But I just think for the Leafs, you're not screwed next year if this group doesn't work. If anything, I think this is the best shape they've been in if they fail. Because all the other years they failed, and you're like Colorado. You have no cap space. All your players have no moves, and Nathan McKinnon is staring bluntly into a camera like, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not that way in Toronto.
No.
You can be like Edmonton, who retooled a lot during this McDavid era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys remember they had like Taylor Hall, they had all these other guys, and they retooled. Maybe the Leafs look into doing the no movement clauses the way the most recent was with Taylor Hall in Carolina, where it's a no move if you hit all these benchmarks. If you score a certain amount of goals, you get a certain amount of points, you take a certain amount of, you stay under a certain amount of penalty minutes. You have to hit these benchmarks, or else then your no move is waived by the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Right? I think maybe the modified no move is the future of that, because let's be honest here. I think every other team in the NHL is looking at Toronto and looking at Colorado going, oh, crap.
Yeah.
We can't get into all these no moves. You also have a team like Nashville that's going to be looking to retool. Maybe you find a way to bring Steven Stamkos to Toronto.
That was my point exactly. I think the free agent draft class this year is actually pretty good. Yeah, Marner's the number one, but I don't care about the number one pick. I look at all the good, solid role players for the free agents this year. I think it's very, very strong. But if you're not going to do a free agent, I would get creative, and I would talk to Nashville for sure. I would bring back, if I'm dumping JT, I'm bringing back Ryan O'Reilly because he's been, in my opinion, he's been the best piece the Leafs have added in this Core 4 era. And I would also talk to like Steven Stamkos. He wanted to come to Toronto. Bring him back in. And if you can't make the big trades, then you do what you did with Matthew Knives. You go on the NCAA route. Maybe you go over to KHL and bring some Kuznetsov or whatever. Maybe you go to Europe and get some really good skilled player that no one's ever heard of, like what Detroit did with Datsuk and Sederberg. There's ways around this, okay? I don't care. There's ways around this. And the other thing is, worst case scenario, if you lose this round, I would even sign Marner and Tavares back and trade them. You're not going to get as much of a trade as what you have got before, but at least you get something.
Neither one of them will sign a deal with an Omu without some sort of protection. That is not happening. That's like going to a college party without making sure you got something in the glove box ready for you. That is not happening to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But everyone is forgetting about one thing when we're talking about all this, okay? And I'm going to share my screen.
I would also call Seattle bringing Jordan Eberle if it was me.
What are these two things here? What are these two things here?
Schedules?
It's game 6 and game 7.
Uh-huh.
If you win game 6 and you push it to 7, it is anyone's game, and the last 42 minutes and 35 seconds have been completely irrelevant.
Pretty much.
No, other than lanes on the board.
There's only one thing that I can look at as hope, but it would take a miracle for it to happen. And I just thought about this now. If the London Knights win today at 7 p.m., could you get Easton Cowan for Friday?
Oh.
I mean,
I just thought about
theoretically, yes, but Berube would not do that.
Why not? Like, what do you have to lose? Like, come
Well,
on. Like,
Because he sucked for Team Canada.
Oh my gosh, Dan, nobody cares.
no, but I'm being serious. Like, at this point, like,
No, but in all honesty, yeah, I mean, potentially
you
could
think
see
the
it.
Leafs might, like, out of desperation, just be like, Easton Cowan, he's got that dog in him. He doesn't like. He's been known as the guy who kind of hates one of the guys who kind of hates losing and is willing to put a team on his back and do whatever it takes to win. Do you think maybe if somehow the London Knights pull it off tomorrow, we could see Easton Cowan game 6 take somebody out like a Max Domi? I could see it.
Yeah, it is possible.
They
Like,
would have to win the game, but
it's not impossible for that to happen. You could see that potentially happen. But I think before we sign off, we should quickly give the flowers to the Edmonton Oilers.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They won a big game. Stuart Skinner just shut up every single critic.
Yeah, literally.
Back shutouts.
I'm proud
There's
of him.
no question in my
Yeah.
mind who starts for the Western Finals for the Oilers, even if Calvin
Yeah.
Pickett's healthy.
Unfortunately.
Wow.
Gotta be
What a
Stuart.
week can change, right?
But this is the exact point I'm making about the Maple Leafs. But look at a guy too, Kasperi Kapanen.
I called it.
He's on a
Yes, you did.
33
Yeah,
game goalless drought. And he managed to get something done. Funny enough, he actually has half decent playoff numbers of 6 goals and 8 assists for 14 points in 40 playoff games.
And
That's
remember,
not
he won-
terrible for a guy who's been a fourth liner for most of his career.
No, and remember he won that gold medal for Finland back so long ago.
That's right. That's true. I did forget that. Yep.
So,
So-
Lane, you're seeing, no matter what, if he comes in the lineup or not on Friday or Sunday, but you're seeing Cowan in the lineup next year?
No, I was just thinking about it because I know we were talking about OHL playoffs. I was like, when's the next game? Because I know London Knights are up 3-1. I'm like, man, if they win tonight, like, could we
No, but
bring
if
these-
you guys are saying, okay, we're gonna shake it up next year if you don't make it through this round, are you seeing one of those
Oh, 100%.
him coming in, sort of that
he's-
guy you guys are
100%.
talking about that can take the team
Possible.
on his back?
I think Easton Cowan's
Easton
elite,
Cowan
100%.
or maybe Alex
100%.
Steves. I could see Alex Steves potentially getting into the Leafs lineup for Friday.
Yeah, he's been almost there so many times.
And he's a guy that's put up a lot of very good numbers in the AHL, has gone on deep runs with the Toronto Marlies, so that is just another thought. But like I said, I really wanted to give the Edmonton Oilers their flowers. I mean, they were able to win a really big game.
Yeah.
And find a way to get a big goal at a big moment in overtime to make a big difference. So big ups on the Edmonton Oilers. But I think it's time we sign off for the night, as it is getting, I guess it's early technically. It's 1:44 in the morning. So thank you very much for joining us on the Streaker Down Podcast Live Edition. We will have a brand new episode for you, I guess today, because it is technically Thursday. Wowzers. I'm Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. Beside me is Lane Dashing Dashco. We got Chazzy, the CEO, and Mr. Moore for his money.
Woo! Bye-bye!
See you guys later.